We're live, boys.
Hell
Oh,
yeah!
Live. Lovely.
Oh, good. You used my sleepy one. I love it.
It's the default.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I also cropped out the bird that Robb drew. Stole that from
Thank you.
Twitter. Follow Robb on Twitter.
It's a good burp.
It is a good bird. The
I
bird's
spent a
in a
lot of time
koala.
drawing that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one is.
Just a couple of corvids.
Oh yeah, it's a blue jay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So here we are. It's
Here we are.
podcast day, and we have our very lovely Robb here, also known as Robb.
Hello. Yeah, you
So
can just call
known
me
as
Rob.
Rob.
But it needs to be with two B's, so you need to extend that B. Robb.
Yeah,
Oh.
you really need. You cannot forget that second B.
Yeah. So Robb is a photography nerd, and we love nerds. So we have him here
We
to...
love nerds, exactly. Rob's a photography nerd. I kind of know some things by doing.
Oh, no.
I have a phone with a camera.
Okay, so
Extent of
you're
my
a
knowledge.
basic white girl.
Yes, I'm basic white girl of this stream.
Here's the thing though, Khaz. You can make decent photography with phone cameras. It's just a lot of people use them to point and shoot, and you just gotta rearrange your thinking about how you go about taking photos with your phone camera.
So funny you should say that, Rob. I actually have a selection of images that I've taken over the years with either point and click cameras or my camera phone. That I'd be like, yeah, this is actually like a really fucking cool picture. And guess what? I took it with my phone.
Yeah.
We already there. We're nerding out.
Hi,
Yep,
We're nerding out. Hi,
Azule.
Azule.
Hey.
Hello.
You're so quiet.
Oh, am I? Let me see if I can do something about that. Give me a second.
I have maxed Azule out on Discord.
How's that? Is that too loud?
That's
No, that's
better.
good.
I need
just
to adjust
turn you
that
down on
down
my end.
again.
But
Okay.
I'd rather you being a little too loud, because then I can turn you down, rather than
Sorry,
maxing
what?
you out and still not hearing you.
Let me just speak at a normal volume and keep turning it down and tell me when it's right, okay? How
I mean,
about-
it
That's
sounds
correct.
perfect to me right now.
right
Yeah.
now? That's good?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really
Right.
good. Yeah.
Perfect. We talking about phone cameras? I have
We're just
opinions.
photography in general.
Well,
What are
we
your
were...
opinions on phone cameras, Azule?
Okay, here's what I like and what I don't like about phone cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to shoot on manual, for me, makes my images feel a lot less intentional. So I think that's what's so fun about shooting with like a real camera. It's not necessarily that all of your images are so much better or like the quality goes up by like an absurd amount. It's not. Phones, cameras, like they're really good nowadays, and so they look good. But because you're not putting as much effort into making the photo, you can just make so many more shitty photos.
Yeah, it's very true.
Uh-huh.
You
Yep.
know? Like if you're gonna like set all the settings right and have and you know put all the work into getting everything just right, it shows. Like it shows in the final product that you put in the effort. It's like an artist thing of like if you put the intention into something, it'll show in the final product. And that's what you
Absolutely.
lose, I feel.
Yeah.
I
you do
want
tend
to
lose that
have-
with mobile.
An art conversation between Riley and Azule now, just from that comment.
I'd love to. I studied acting in high school for a few years, so I have lots of strange, interesting art opinions.
I don't think you've met Riley.
I may not have now.
Okay, he hasn't been around as much recently, but he does stream at Helix with 2 eyes. My intentions always came when I take out the camera. Hi, Zeth.
Well,
I approve, Zeth.
yeah.
But while I'm talking about him. He's just a rad dude, and also I feel like you two would have just so much fun talking about just the intention of a piece and not the actual piece.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much going on with that. There's like a whole other conversation about death of the author as well to be had over that.
Yep.
Yeah. I could talk
One
about it.
thing on like intention and photography, like one thing that really kind of grabbed me about doing large format photography with like a viewfinder camera and stuff like that through like large format film is that it really slows down the process, because you have to set up the tripod, you got to set up the camera, you got to make sure you've got all of your film ready to go, and you've got to like spend 5 minutes focusing the camera and adjusting the composition and everything like that, and then you finally go and shoot the photo, and it just really slows down the process and makes you think about the intention behind the photograph, and think more about how you're composing the image as well, which is something that really helped me with my photography.
Right, because you're a photography boomer. You take like the
Yeah.
the pictures with the film.
Wow.
And I'm here. I feel like I'm here representing the purely like instinctual side of it, where it's just like, oh, this is a thing. I need to snap it now. I'm not going to be able to get this ever again.
Yeah, I'm a film nerd. I all of my cameras are film cameras.
Very jealous.
That's where my education was, though. It's all in film photography. So
the college I'm at offers a darkroom class, and they were like, why don't you do one of my professors was like, oh, you should take the darkroom class. I'm like, they're offering it? They're like, yeah, it's a virtual darkroom class where we're going to be talking about the darkroom. And I'm like, oh no, that sounds so horrible.
So you tell me there's a darkroom class that makes me think that I'm actually going to be able to get into a darkroom and actually like go through the whole process, not just talk about it.
Yeah, they have one, but it's just off limits because of COVID.
Yeah.
No.
I would definitely wait to take that class until you have access to the darkroom, because that type of experience can't really be matched in a virtual environment.
Yeah, I don't understand why they're still offering it. Like, what's the point? I don't understand. And I had classmates who were in the class, and they were like, oh, it's pretty good. And I'm like, what do you do? What do you do there?
Do you sit there with your eyes closed, imagining the film in
Exactly.
your hands?
It's so dark in this room. I've turned all the lights off.
VR simulator darkroom.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. But yeah, I'd love to get into film, because you're totally right. I love the idea of that you don't know what the photo you just took was until
Yeah, you don't know until you develop it, which is great.
That is something that I do miss about the pictures that I was taking when I was younger, because I do actually have like digital copies of pictures that I took when I was like 12 that were on cheap little like Kodak point and shoot cameras, but they were on film, and you had no idea what they were going to turn out to be until after it got developed. Like, oh,
don't knock those cameras, because those can like really go a long way.
Oh, definitely.
The quality of them can be quite good, because it's just a 35mm camera with just regular settings, and just pointing and clicking and finding an image that way can be just as good as if you had like the full control over that that film and the developing process and everything like that too. So
bring back
like work with what you have.
Mm-hmm. There's ways to work with everything. You just gotta experiment.
Yeah. But yeah, I think film photography is really cool. I definitely grew up in the digital age where everything is like mussable. You can muss about with anything. And I mean, that's, I've been doing visual art, and I like the whole like vector program idea, because I like working with it, because everything can just adjust. So film is like the complete opposite, where until you get into a dark room, there's nothing you can do. You can't see your image and be like, oh, it should be a little bit this way, or you just have to go off of instinct. I think it's really a wonderful skill.
The best thing that you can do to set yourself up for success with film is to make sure that you are exposing the negative properly. So just making sure you have your settings right as far as aperture and shutter speed and everything like that to make sure that you are exposing it properly. And then everything else kind of comes with the darkroom and the process of making the photograph with an enlarger and silver prints and stuff like that. And like there is a lot you can do in the darkroom as far as like quote unquote editing the photograph. Like exposing more areas of the light sensitive paper to make things darker, bumping contrast with filters and stuff like that too.
So for the white girls like me, what do you mean with the aperture and the exposure and all that?
So the exposure is really, it's just the image that you get on the negative. That's the exposure.
Okay.
Aperture is the size of the hole that you have in the lens, as far as like because you can, with a lot of lenses, you can close the aperture. It's like that series of shutters that kind of expands and contracts to
like an eye.
Like an eye, yeah,
Exactly.
The original cameras were basically, that's what they were going off of. They're like,
just
this thing you
eyeball.
can see. Yeah.
An eyeball can see. How do we make that work?
Yeah.
As a machine. Your aperture is that opening that lets the light in to shine on the film, which is light sensitive and will gather that image from the light.
Cool. Thank you. And
then shutter speed is just how fast the shutter opens and closes. So you got to kind of balance the size of the opening of the aperture and how fast it exposes the negative with light. So you want to balance those two to make sure you're exposing it at a level that you're going to get an image. So it's not too dark for being overexposed or too light for being underexposed. Actually, sorry, vice versa. And then you can kind of play with those settings as well if you're trying to get like a larger depth of field, so you have more things in focus, or a shallower depth of field where you have things less in focus. So the wider your aperture, so the bigger the hole that you have letting in light, the more shallow your depth of field is going to be, because things farther away will not have a chance to bounce their light into the camera with the shutter speed that you have. Because it's got to be really quick when you have a wider opening, so that the things farther away don't have a chance to get that light to your negative, so they'll be out of focus. And then the smaller your opening, the longer you can leave the shutter open to let light in, and the more things become in focus. So that's basically how depth of field works with the mechanics of the camera.
Well, I had no idea that's how it worked. I thought it was just blurry because it was too far away, not that the light was not bouncing.
It's all about light and how your camera is capturing that light.
It's interesting because, nowadays, like my phone camera, it'll do like bokeh, but in post. So I'll take an image and then it'll like add a bunch of that in. Which is kind of insane. Cause
it's really incredible, the technology that goes into phone cameras and everything like that to make that happen.
Yeah. But it kind of breaks the rules a little bit, which is one of the reasons why I think like there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with phone cameras, because sometimes they break the rules.
Yeah. And that actually brings up something I wanted to touch on with, I think Goose asked the question regarding tips on landscape photography and why her images are kind of coming out flat. If you're using like a DSLR camera, like just a regular digital camera, the way that that makes an image, it tries to gather as much detail as possible. So the file that you get as a result of clicking the shutter and having the image is downgraded in contrast. So you have more level of like editing power for that photo. So when you're going to edit kind of a raw digital image from a digital camera, those are built to be edited and adjusted for contrast and everything like that. So that could be a reason why those images are coming out flat.
Speaking of flatness, I'm kind of curious what your guys' opinion about HDR is.
Oh, I love it.
I won't say anything. I want to hear your guys' opinions first.
I think HDR in general, it's because the problem with film and well, with recording and taking photographs is that you can never get the level of detail and darkness or lightness that the eye can see. So HDR kind of bridges that gap and makes it a lot easier to have darker scenes with really high like contrast light in certain spots without losing, because if you're exposing for daylight, you basically lost all of your shadows on regular photos, but HDR helps bring out those details. Now, actually showing HDR photography or film, it's a lot more difficult because you need the peak brightness on a screen to be really high. So we're not there yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah, Rob, what do you think?
I have no opinions on HDR at the moment because I am ignorant.
Yeah, my whole thing is like I don't actually keep up with anything either. I just kind of go with whatever I have available to me, and if it works, it fucking works, and I don't question it.
And as far as like photography goes, all the work I do is in film because I don't own a digital camera at the moment. I do need to change that, but
I mean, you'll come back around.
You don't need to.
You'll just have vintage photography and be the last person to ever have a like film camera.
Yeah, my opinion about HDR is, to be honest, I find so much HDR photography to look really tacky. I think there's this like, it's almost trying to achieve like a studio kind of look a lot of the time in a non-studio environment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to me, it just kind of loses a lot of the character. A lot of my favorite photographs are photographs where some elements are not exposed, I don't know, perfectly is like what you would say with like an HDR image. It'd be like, oh, well, that's a little too bright, that's a little too dark, but it's like, well, that actually, works in the like artistic sense of this. I think if you get rid of it, it becomes so bland. It has its place. I think if you just want to show off a location, it's nice. Like, but as like an artistic tool, I feel like it often waters down really good imagery. Because it just feels fake.
Yeah. If you're not exposing the whole thing so everything is visible, you're playing a lot more with shapes and outlines of things rather than the full detail of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it goes back to the whole intentionality thing. It's like, are you taking a picture because of what's in the frame or because of what you can do with what's in the frame? Because if it's just because you want to take a picture of a giraffe and you're like, I want this giraffe to look as much giraffe-like as possible, then like, sure, there's plenty of techniques for that.
This
But
is
it's
the
like,
most giraffe I've ever pictured in my life.
exactly.
Yeah, and like all that really comes back to what are you taking the picture for?
Yeah.
Are you taking it because you're trying to show what you find interesting about the thing in front of you, or are you taking it just to document, whatever? And then that can even come into like, okay, how do you want to document it if you are documenting it? Do you want it just to be like the white box studio, like here's this thing, like you'd see in a lot of museum photography of their artifacts and stuff like that. Here's this thing, and this is a document of this thing. But there's a lot of like people make whole careers about documenting events and things like that, and they make it so artistic. One of the artists that springs to mind for me with that would be Sebastião Salgado. Some of his images are on the link I posted in streaming text. If you scroll down to his name, it's all alphabetized. But he takes a lot of kind of documentary photography all over the world with a lot of different subjects, and just the way he looks at these things and documents it is so artistic, and the intention behind it is so different than that. Here's this thing. And I think that really makes the images stand out.
Also, I will say, he has great composition.
Great composition.
Really, really good. But, I mean, would you consider Salgado to be like a photojournalist? I mean,
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know how much of it I would say is like, because when I think of journalism, I think of like writing about things that are happening, but with photojournalism kind of toes that line between kind of telling people what's going on and then giving them a feeling of what's going on, right? So it's one of those things where like definitely in some respects, yeah, definitely a photojournalist. He did photograph a lot during the Rwandan genocide in the 90s. And that was huge. So.
really beautiful work.
Yeah, incredible. There is a movie he helped produce about a lot of his work called Salt of the Earth, and I do recommend that.
Oh,
it does get pretty heavy, though.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
One of the things that I'm noticing the more I like start to follow people that do not even just photography but also cinematography is that they often get their start after some tragic event because they just happen to be there and like, I need to capture this. People need to see like this is what happened. And the first person that comes to my mind is Kian Tran, Sam Riegel's wife.
Yeah.
Who actually got her start as a professional photographer and then cinematographer because they were at ground zero on 9/11 and he had her a camera for her birthday or something and she just started snapping pictures after the buildings collapsed.
Yeah.
Wow. I was there. I was a little baby, but I was there on that day. My parents tell me. My father actually went and he went to the firefighters and he was like, give me a jacket, I'm going in. And basically helped save people, which I think is like the coolest thing.
That is incredible.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve Buscemi did it too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi was there with first responders, like helping like pull people out of rubble and shit.
Steve Buscemi was like an actual firefighter before he started acting, wasn't he?
Yes.
What?
And that's why he did that. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wait, I need to find these images. Firefighter.
We're on a quest now.
Oh my god, what a hottie.
Right?
I don't know, he looks kind of angry in this picture. Wow, that's so cool. Interesting. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. I like Steve Buscemi. I don't know. Has he been canceled?
I haven't heard.
Not that
of
I'm
him
aware
being
of.
canceled. I've
Not to
only
my
ever
knowledge.
heard
Oh.
fantastic things about him.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Like all of the old actors, I'm like, oh, their work is so good, and then somebody's like, oh, but they said this, and I'm like, oh, come on, man,
Come on.
really?
Yeah.
Like I know you're not of this generation, but you know,
Get with it, dude.
read the room of the whole world.
Okay.
It's hard to do, isn't it?
So, Azule, what are some of your favorite things to photograph?
So my favorite time to photograph is really early in the morning, which is such a problem for me because
Same.
I just can't get out of bed. I'm like, no, it's not today. Today is not the day.
If I want
But,
to take photos in the early morning, I have to stay up until that time.
That's one way to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
But I love like early morning. I love like foggy, dreary, dry. Like I like colors, but I really like that like washed out look. Because the world is washed out, but your subjects aren't.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful to me.
One thing about color photography is that, again, with intention, like, why are you making it a color photograph? And are you choosing color versus black and white? And why are you choosing color? And sometimes the reason to make a color photograph is because of the absence of color. And to really strike home that, okay, things are washed out.
Yeah.
The world is bland and gray.
I mean, but in that sense, though, it's also really easy when it is lovely and, well, I think it's lovely. When it's like foggy and a little bit cold, it's really easy to make nice looking black and white images. Even if that's not necessarily your intention, it's really fun to play around with it. Because, I mean, you know, doing digital photography, I can go and make it black and white. I can, you know, change what kind of black and white it really is very easily in like Lightroom. And, you know, it's nice being able to put yourself in an environment where you have good material like that you can work with later on. Yeah.
And one of the things about film that my professors always told me was like, cameras are so portable, you really shouldn't only have one on you. So often we'd load like a black and white camera and then a color camera. So if we had an image we wanted to see both ways, we could do it with just taking it with one camera and then taking it with the other.
So funny. I have like a tiny little mirrorless that fits in a little tiny bag that I can put on my side. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot of effort compared to my phone. You're hugging around like
it really
is. Film black and white and color camera. And you're like, this is so portable.
Yeah. Well, I'm also used to lugging around like a 35-pound view camera. So like the old-fashioned ones where you need like the cloak.
Whoa!
Oh, wow.
And like the billows.
Oh, you go really old school, huh?
You're beyond boomer.
That's what I was. That's what I was talking about when I was mentioning like large format. Is like the negatives are 5 inches by 7 inches on a lot of the photos that I took in my last year of school. So you really get the detail with those images.
Oh yeah,
because the negative is so large, and you can scale them up so much more than just a 35 millimeter negative. So the images that I sent Khaz, a lot of those are from a view camera, the black and white ones anyway. And then with those ones, I ended up printing those like 5 by whatever, like on the shortest end, 5 foot. And it's just one of those things where like you have so much more versatility with a larger negative than a smaller negative, but sometimes it is nice to have that small negative and the portability of that 35 millimeter camera or 120 millimeter. And these are film sizes. So 35 millimeters, like your standard, like Kodak point and shoot kind of film camera. And then the negatives are on that 35 millimeter scale. And then you have larger formats like medium format, which is 120 millimeter scale. Those are typically, a lot of the time you find those with Mamiya cameras or like Rolleiflex. Those are the 2 really big like studio cameras that a lot of people use for studio photography. Robert Mapplethorpe used medium format a lot in his work. I probably wouldn't recommend showing Robert Mapplethorpe on stream because of TOS and stuff. He does a lot of work with, well, he did a lot of work back in the day with BDSM community and like LGBTQ and all that kind of stuff. So really, really interesting work and really interesting view on like human bodies and proportions and all that kind of stuff. Just really, really good stuff.
Okay, so I've been digging around. I found a couple images that Kian was actually credited. So I've seen her name tagged to them. Like of like this one that I'm putting in streaming text is actually from their apartment. And this she took on the street outside. I don't remember where the location said it was, but these are like confirmed. I've seen her credited with these.
Let me go grab my hard drive. I didn't realize we were doing show and tell. I'm sure I've got a few images that I'd love to show.
I should have
if you
mentioned
want
that
to
to
do
you.
show and tell.
Well, I mean, it
God
seems.
damn it, Cass.
There's a lot of things I should have done, honestly.
Yes.
All right, BRB.
While I adjust this.
I do need to look at these images though. Oh. Yeah, we should definitely not put any of this on stream, but it's so good.
It's very good work.
I just posted it on the chat.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So this is one of the images that I was showing.
Yeah, I did get a chance to see an exhibition of his work in Montreal several years ago, and it was incredible. Seeing like the photographs in print and not on like a computer screen, because the values that he was able to capture with the camera and everything like that, it's just incredible work.
I might get lost looking at these. Don't mind me if I go very quiet for the rest of the time we're doing this.
I mean, I can't blame you, honestly.
And these are all pretty tame compared to some of his work.
I mean, that's the one that they put online.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I'm seeing on his is actually, funnily enough, kind of a conversation that Khaz and I have had in private before, where Sports Illustrated every year does what they call a body issue, where they actually have professional athletes do fully nude or mostly nude photo shoots and like put on the cover and everything. They're all very tastefully done, but it's just like, oh my god. And a lot of it is to just like highlight how much work they put into being like in shape to do what it is that they do. It's like, God, this is just so cool. Like, don't mind me staring at your naked body, but you literally posed for it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, nude photography is one of those things where, again, like Azule said, it's intention. What's the intention behind it? Are you looking at, like, a lot of it? I find like it's not to be sexy. It's to show the body in its glory, and everything that entails regarding, fat, stretch marks, cellulite, all that stuff. And I think that's something that can really kind of empower a lot of the models involved. And having like a photographer look at the body in that way is much healthier than like advertisements. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I'll fully admit, I'm gonna knock my microphone off my desk, but I'll fully admit, like, I've watched like America's Next Top Model and RuPaul's Drag Race, and usually they'll like sprinkle in a tasteful nude shoot on something. And one of the reruns of RuPaul's Drag Race that I watched recently actually had a number of heavier drag queens on it that were very uncomfortable with doing a nude shoot. We're like, I don't want people to see my body like this, but one was like in tears getting up to it, like, this is stressful, like, this is something that I've struggled with my entire life, and I don't know if I can do this. But once they go through the process, they're like, wow, I don't want to stop. This is fun. Because it's always done on, like, from what you can see on the show anyway, it's done in such a way where it's a comfortable shoot, like whatever you're comfortable with doing. If you want to have like the chiffon wrap that you just kind of like draping over yourself, that's fine. If you get more comfortable, you don't want it, we can get rid of it. This is about you and just a full, like, just being comfortable in your own skin kind of a thing. And to actually watch the process of someone who was like vehemently against it from the onset actually go into it and try it and like slowly, like, I don't ever want to put clothes back on. Why am I even wearing clothes anymore?
Yeah.
And like, can I do that again? It speaks a lot to not only just the overall thought put into the project, but also the way in which they were treated to go through the process. Like, there's a level of trust there and support that I think most people don't think about when they see something that's like nude photography, where this isn't meant to be like oogled at. Like, this is just being. This is just being. And then I really love watching that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you talk about like photography that's meant to be oogled at, because I actually have a collection of Playboys that I keep under my bed, and it's a hobby. I collect them.
Yeah.
And store them under your bed.
I was really surprised. Back in high school, I made this discovery there was like a local sex shop that was like really cool, and I had met the owner, and they were very, very cool folk. And I went in there, and they had all these old Playboys, and I started reading them, and I realized like they were such a product of their time, but they were really ahead of their time. And a lot of like the articles were incredibly liberal and stuff that I was like, wow, a lot of people even today would find this like very, very liberal. And so I got really into them. But I always found the like quote unquote the like sexy photography that everybody is like, oh, it's back then it's kind of thought of as like porn. But compared to like a lot of porn nowadays, it's really, really incredibly well done and like good work.
Yeah.
And I think most people who see that work nowadays would see it as like, oh, very empowering and beautiful, right?
Right.
I think what might be somebody's like to be oogled at in one generation,
I think probably one of the easiest like analogies to that is like the difference between a stripper and a burlesque dancer.
Yes.
Yeah.
One is literally meant to have like money thrown at her or him or them or whatever, just because that's what they do. And the other, it's an art exhibit essentially. And yes, they're taking their clothes off, but it's the same, but yet also different.
Different intentions.
Yeah, again, it goes back to the intention behind it is ultimately what dictates how it's perceived.
I've always been very impressed with like I think that there's a lot of artistry in like stripping and all of that.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
And so, I mean, we can go back to whole like there's like death of the author, right? But there's also like death of like there's how somebody else might interpret somebody else's work, right? Even if that's like generally the consensus on what it is, it might not be the case for the artists themselves. Like for a stripper, they could be somebody who put lots and lots of time into honing a craft that other people might use in whatever way they want to use it. But for that person, it's kind of hard to say, It's probably not necessarily like the most sexual act for the person who's actually putting it out there, right? Like it's obviously there's much more intimate things they could do by themselves or with a partner or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Look, they need the whole thing we got it's all tied together, and ultimately it was because nude photography came up, and there's a lot of ways we could go about talking about that. And yeah, this did ultimately go.
Yes.
This specific section came from Azule mentioning that he keeps Playboys under his bed.
Do. They're great.
But like,
so if you can get
but like,
closer to your
they're
mic,
like
please.
classic Playboys. They're not modern ones. They're classic Playboys.
They're old. They're covered in dust.
There's
can you
a
get
full...
I hope that's the only thing they're covered in.
Oh!
Oh boy.
Oh
boy.
Bet you didn't think that was going to be brought up today, huh?
No, I regret to inform you that they don't get that kind of use, but...
We're not saying from you.
Oh my god, I haven't considered that. Oh, I never
Yeah.
thought about that.
Oh no, Lep, you've ruined it.
I'm just... They're
Pick
new.
me.
They're new out of box. They're straight off the press. Why did you have to do this?
Fresh, never used.
But
if they're not sealed, I don't trust it.
They're so weird. Because you'll have like an article about like immigration during like the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh wow, this is so fascinating. And then next to it will be like an ad for cigarettes. And it's like so I don't even know how to describe it. It's so of its time. It's just funny. It's comical. But they're actually great. If you can ever get your hands on like original Playboys, they're actually great to read.
Oh yeah, I will fully admit, there are times that my dad had subscriptions to not Playboy but Maxim. I don't know if you guys know Maxim magazine, but it's similar. I'd flip through that thing like you would not believe, because he kept it in the bathroom in like this magazine rack that we had next to the toilet. So my mom would have her like housewife like magazines that had like recipes and diet tips and all this other shit, and then there'd be my dad's Maxim magazine that was like full of half naked women and done up and makeup and like bent over things, and it's like I'd flip through the Maxim magazine before I'd touch hers. I'm like, yes, the ladies are hot, but also there'd be articles about upcoming tech that was new to the market and whether or not it was worth like investing into, and should you get this. There'd be stuff with like movies and video games. Like, this is rad. I want this magazine.
The half naked women were like,
it
was a marketing tactic. It's a hook.
Exactly.
But
that's never gone away.
I know it has not gone away, and yes, it's a marketing tactic, but my God, I love looking at them. Women are beautiful.
Yeah.
Where is the echo, Nadine?
Slight echo.
Slight echo.
Who echo?
Me.
Aw.
Make sure nothing is playing where it shouldn't.
I agree, titties. Thank you for your...
Mostly when I talk.
No, now, well, I did mute my stream. I guess it was playing through. I don't know how.
God damn it, Khaz.
It shouldn't. There's nothing that should cross. Well, anyways.
Nude photo shoots.
Do you have something to show us, Azule?
I guess I could pull it up, but I'd have to ask Emma's permission.
Ooh.
I wouldn't show the nude ones, but I got a novelty blanket off of Amazon that's a giant tortilla.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So we like draped the tortilla around Emma and got like a bottle of Tapatio. And that was essentially the onus for us creating a lot of completely absurd art.
I'm into it.
Sounds like an excellent evening.
I'll see if I can pull one of these up. Yo, Emma.
Hello, Gil.
I show the Tapatio tortilla images to so it's the Frungus.
And if you don't want to put them where
I'll just DM Khaz.
You could. I was gonna say you could DM Khaz. You can put them in one of the NSFW channels that we have that I believe you might have access to. Sultry Shrooms.
I gotta find it first because I've got a new catalog and none of it's organized.
Oh.
So I've got like thousands and thousands of photos.
Azule, you're gonna be quiet again. I don't know if you're further away from your mic.
No, I was just focusing on something.
Oh.
It happens.
Let me go back to my library. Give me a minute. This will take me a hot second.
Oh, don't worry.
While Azule is finding that, to go back to some of the questions that were posted, favorite things to take pictures of?
For me, it's going to be landscapes.
I love
I find like I don't really connect with like portrait photography in the same way that I do landscapes, mainly because I'm not very much of a people person. I find it very
understandable.
Like taking somebody's photo is an intimate thing, and it's hard for me to make that connection in the studio. I have done some portrait photography as far as like school projects and stuff like that go, but I don't really connect with portraits the same way I do with landscapes. And for me, looking like landscape photography for me is very much trying to find where I fit in all of it, and what I find interesting, even if it might be mundane, like a blueberry field in winter, or a dilapidated barn on the side of the road, a house that's fallen over, even like things at home, because landscape photography doesn't necessarily have to be of landscapes. That probably doesn't make any sense at all, but
I mean, I get what you're saying, because I've been futzing around with it for years on and off, but I could also see how someone would be confused by that.
Yeah, like, because you can do portraits of people without ever showing their body or their face. Because you, like, if you're doing like if I was to do a self-portrait series of me with photographs, I wouldn't show my face. I would show like where I live, for instance, or the way that things are set up in my home, things that I have particular attachment to, and that can all be deemed like portraiture, in a sense of like capturing a person's essence. So landscape does have that same kind of ethereal nature to it as well, where you can take kind of landscape or scenic shots of an environment that aren't necessarily outdoors or like what you would normally consider a landscape.
I'm looking at that. That's. I said I was into it just hearing the description, but I'm even more into it now seeing it.
Let me see if I can find it. Some of these are really stupid.
Before we move on, though, I just want to, Khaz, I saw that slip between Robb's photos, or that was that one of mine. I saw that.
Don't.
And I need to call you out on it.
I wasn't sure which tab was which, so I was hoping that I wasn't flipping between the wrong ones.
So, the mistake. Oh, hello.
I haven't looked at these in a long time.
Azule, I have to tell you that I think you and Emma might be my two favorite people in existence.
Oh, thank you so much.
This is a very fun photo shoot, Azule.
Yes, I absolutely love this.
This was like the first thing I did with my camera, so some of them are pretty terrible, but a lot of fun.
Right, Nadine?
By the way,
burrito.
The model is Emma, Azule's partner. I'm gonna show these on screen.
Yeah, you can show these.
Yeah, I was making sure that there was nothing that shouldn't be seen, or on a live audience, anyways. But this is fun. These look like
This is just fun.
the greatest time.
Yeah, we had a
I still have it's things like this that like might seem kind of quote unquote stupid that you have a lot of fun doing that really make you fall in love with photography as a medium.
Yeah.
And like having like if you're uncomfortable with a type of photography, say photo like a portraits or nudes or something, you got to find a way into it that makes you feel a bit more comfortable. For me, it was photographing my friends in art school, people I was closest with, and like because you can practice those sorts of things, and nobody ever has to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Like photography doesn't exist to be seen, which is a weird thing to think about. But if you,
it is
like,
a
you can
weird
do it
thing
for yourself.
Think about specifically for me, because I fully got my start taking photos because it was taking photos of things to be seen. I got started as a child. My dad basically bullied me into taking pictures at family events because if I didn't take pictures, he told me I would owe him $25 per event, and I did not want to pay him any money. So I just walked around with any camera taking pictures of literally everything that happened. And that was really my start in photography, was I'm being bullied into it. And then turns out, oh hey, I'm kind of good at this and I kind of like it. I should try and do this more.
Yeah, and like as long as you enjoy doing it, it's not a mistake.
Yeah. I think that is a weird misconception though, is that there's like people look at their library and they're like, these are bad images.
So I do want to say that this last one, Emma should really consider being a pinup model.
Yeah, it gives me strong pinup vibes.
Yeah, that's what we were going for. I mean, Emma's very, very talented when it comes to makeup, but she's been doing costume design. We used to go to historical like balls. I think I have an image actually of one of my outfits long time ago.
I would fully encourage Emma pursuing fully pinup model, like just please and thank you, and let me know when you do more of this because I want to see it.
All right. Well, I think I sacrificed her in this one, so we'll see if we can go beyond that point.
And I say that having interacted with a multitude of pinup models, because one of the things that I've taken pictures of the most in like the past like 10 to 15 years is car shows where they always have pinup models.
Yep.
That's an interesting idea.
Actually, one of the ones that I selected, there's a number of things. Like there's street shows that I go to that are usually fundraisers of things, but there's a few like professionally run events where, I mean, this is just a picture of a car, and it's obviously a very pricey car with an owner that really cares about showcasing it. But it's just, this was in an enclosed event in a convention center. But groups would go there and they would have like their wives, their girlfriends, their friends all dolled up to match the cars, and some of them would pose for pictures for you, and it's a fun time.
Yeah,
if you're into cars anyway.
It's interesting. I actually had a classmate who was really into cars and wanted to do car photography, and it was kind of funny because he was like trying to get into the scene but wasn't really in it, and like COVID had just started.
Oh.
And it was really fascinating because it was a lot of shots that were kind of hidden away. That weren't like, because I think a lot of car photography is very bombastic, right? You've got these people who are such characters who like really love their vehicles. But it was so low key. It was incredibly low key, and it definitely showed this other side to it, which is like the like craft and like the people who take really good care of these things, and there's like the showiness, right? But behind the hood, like literally and figuratively, there's like a lot of effort and a lot of work that was put into it, and I thought that was a really cool perspective because it's one I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, specifically when it comes to the cars, getting into that scene, I just stumbled into it because of people I know and fundraisers that I go to, and it's a really quick, easy way to have a fundraiser is to have a car show, because the thing about car guys, they love to show off their cars. Oh, wow. They absolutely love to do it. It's a whole ego trip thing for them, and you can stand there and ask them literally nothing, and they will just run their mouth about, I got this car this time, I've had it for this many years, I've put this much work into it. And if you're not into cars, it's fucking irritating. And just like, and some of them, you know, they're like annual events, and I've stopped going to them purely because you go to it one time, you've seen every car there already, basically, because it's the same guy showing up to the same events with the same cars doing the same thing, and like I'm tired. I want something new. But there is an art to it, and some of them do like hand pinstriping painting on their vehicles, and some of them will have like stations set up where they will hand pinstripe something for you there on the spot, and that's really fucking cool.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
one really neat thing about asking like any fabricator about their work, like if you go to somebody who has like made a custom motorcycle or a custom car, and like if they're a fabricator and like you ask them what the favorite piece on the car is, they'll probably point you to a bracket that they made.
Yeah, probably.
That just works the right way that they want it to, and it's just a bracket.
Small and out of the way, you'd have to really like wedge your way into something to even know that it existed, let alone be able to see it. But my God, that's their favorite thing.
Yeah.
God damn it, Kel.
Now, Azule, I cannot let this one just
Oh yeah, you're not gonna
be
just
ignored.
gloss
No,
over it.
I can't. I was
I'm
gonna
looking
ask
for a
about
better
it.
one actually. Well, because that one's fun, but it's not historically accurate, which Emma will get me for. But I'm trying to find one of the one of the ones where she dressed me up. Here we go. This is good shit. This is what you want to see. This is Emma in real period work. But yeah, you know, COVID's so sad. I feel like there was a lot of different things that I used to do. I used to put in an effort.
Yeah.
I used to have energy.
Yeah.
But
Remember when we had energy to do things?
it was
Like,
lovely.
like take photos?
Yeah, speaking of energy to take photos, Rob, why don't you talk to me about these ones that you just shared?
These are actually from my phone. I kind of wanted to show a little bit of an example of how you can use your phone to make some photography. If you're intentional about the composition and how you're like kind of looking at things, one thing I would recommend to anybody looking to start photography and only has their phone, take shots of anything and take shots of those things at multiple angles. Crouch down, stand on your tippy toes, lay on the ground. Get a different perspective on the thing you're trying to photograph, because often it's the difference in that perspective that makes the difference in composition, which then leads to a better photograph. Really what you're trying to do when you're making a lot of photography is training your eye to see things in a different way that you would normally see them. So you want to make sure that like you're taking lots of photos. Nobody really has to see them if they're not good. You'll know you're making progress by looking at the backlog and seeing everything there.
Me trying to take pictures for sultry.
Yeah.
I have a piece
Hello,
of
Duo.
advice.
I actually have a things that so I went to yearbook camp in high school. It was a weekend long thing, and My school did not have access to Photoshop, which was the program that was being taught to actually like edit layouts and set things up to send it off to a printer to actually publish the yearbooks for the school. So because we didn't have access to the programs that were being taught for anything, our teacher that was our chaperone for it signed us all up for the photography seminars that they had. Which I loved because I was already I wanted to get into photography. The guy that was teaching most of them is actually a professional like print photographer for newspapers and magazines and stuff. And he would send us out on assignments like go take pictures of stuff like this, go take pictures of something like this. We're on a college campus. And he'd like come back, submit your files to this drive, and we'll go through them and discuss them in class. And I will never forget, he sent us off to do some architectural photography things because it's a very old college campus. And I shared a picture that it made him stop and just stare at it for a couple of minutes. And then he asked who took it, and he said he was incredibly jealous of it. And he's like, I wish I could get something like this. Who did this? And I'm like, me. And then he insisted, like, I want to see what kind of camera you're using because this is incredible. And I'm posting now the picture that I took. Again, this was taken with a very cheap point and click camera. And this professional photographer that has an abundance of high-end equipment at his disposal was jealous of this. I saw a thing. I basically did what you were talking about, Rob. I stepped to the side. I turned my camera at different angles. I was doing different things, and I just took this, and here we are. This is just an exterior like patio area that's a covered walkway between buildings on the college campus. It's nothing remarkable.
Yeah, and it's often those unremarkable things that are shown in a different perspective that make really good photographs.
And so, like, to this day, this is one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken because I got that reaction from him.
Azule, you had some advice you were going to give?
I did about I hate shooting at if you've got the camera leveled at your eye and you're standing all the way straight up, it will look as if you're just looking through somebody's eyes, right?
Yeah.
That's incredibly boring to me.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But so in order to avoid photographs like that, I employ the child with a toy airplane approach.
Mm-hmm.
You can the most fun thing to do in photography, if you have no idea what angles you like, open your inner child, open your heart to that feeling again, and just like swoop the camera like you're swaddling a baby. And I think that's a great method to get yourself into weird, fun angles that you're like, oh, okay, I didn't see this like that, which is if you see something cool, you're like, okay, I've got a subject. Maybe you take something straight on of it. Just like swoop the camera around, play airplane with it for a second, and then see what comes out of it and be like, oh, actually, over there, it's really, like, that's really strange. Something looks off there, and maybe you'll focus in on something that looks a little bit different. But there's something wonderful to, like, you can have really good intentions, but if you don't know what to do with a subject, just like fuck around. Completely.
Just play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Play. It's supposed to be fun.
Space, is it? You know?
Yeah, it's not going to take up that much space. There's always more film. There's always more memory cards.
Yeah.
It's not going to take up that much space, and you're trying to have fun, so play around.
I do
do
make
like-
airplane noises.
Yeah, I do like that image of Emma just wrapped in a burrito and Azule just going.
What happened? Yeah. Get high,
Pretty
get
good.
low, go and
Yeah.
have a good
I
time.
really liked that I wanted to share.
And sound effects
think
I have-
always make everything better.
Yes.
I think I've got one
Another
more
piece of advice that I would
piece.
have in regards to compositions, like look at your corners. You want to make sure you're looking at the corners of the image too. You don't want to focus on what's in the center or what's off to the side. Focus on the entire image. So when you're composing a shot, before you hit the shutter and take the picture, just quickly check your corners. See if there's something that is just in the corner that you don't want to be there, or maybe if you move the camera a little bit up, there's a line that comes from the corner into the foreground or into where you're trying to focus the image. And those kinds of things can really kind of tie an image together when you're looking at composition that way. So you want to make sure you're keeping an eye on your corners as well.
Yeah, I definitely employ, like, if I see a line anywhere in the natural world, I will just set that line to the edge of the frame.
Yeah.
And that usually makes an image feel like it's like it has a base. You don't often like feel like you're swimming or you get lost in it because you have something to work off of, even if it is like a Dutch angle or tilt or whatever.
Yeah.
If you have it if you have it somewhere lined up in the frame, that can help like ground an image for sure.
Definitely.
I am obsessed at how much like a high royalty princess Emma looks.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Emma's a queen.
Emma
Azule, I
is
would
absolutely
love to get a chance to photograph you and Emma in wardrobe like this with tintypes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, please do.
I would
we can
love
make
to have that
happen.
opportunity.
I mean, we've
So-
been so drained of the ability to go out and wear period dress and have a good time. It's been so long.
Nadine, punt the child is just punting the child. You redeem the thing and you describe to us how you punt the child. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
That's
You're
all
not
there is.
hunting actual
Sorry,
childs.
what is
childs.
going on here? Completely
It's,
missed out on this.
It's a channel redeem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
There's
tell us
also
how
a
you punt
stretcher
the
bed.
child.
Perfect. Exactly like that as well.
Okay, I think I understand.
Let's see. Out of some of the things I've taken, this is one that again, this is from yearbook camp. I have a lot of pictures from yearbook camp. I don't know how the fuck I managed to do this, but the blur on it and the level of transparency that the doors have, and also the person in it has, like, I don't know how the fuck I managed to do this, but I'm into it.
It's a cursed photo, but it looks amazing.
That's it. This was done on film?
No, this was a point and
Ooh.
click. Everything I have is digital.
Point and click. Oh, okay.
Well,
We
mostly
want to share our
everything.
ghost pics.
It looks.
It's a real person.
No. I know it's a real person, but like,
Yeah.
you know, using a really long open shutter to make like ghost. I feel like every
Yeah.
photographer at some point has been like, I'm gonna be a ghost now. It's gonna be so cool.
I don't know. I don't remember what my intention for taking this was. I don't even know who the person is in this. I just know that it was at yearbook camp. We had like an end of the camp celebration. There was an ice cream eating contest that I do have pictures of the winner, because she had chocolate ice cream just all over her face and shirt.
Hmm.
I don't remember why I took this. It stuck with me because it's like I could never recreate this if I tried.
My theory for how this happened is based on the lighting and how those point and shoot cameras kind of work. So the point and shoot cameras take a light reading and figure out how much light is in the area, and then they figure out, okay, how long do I have to open the shutter for? Because it's a fixed aperture on those cameras usually.
Mm-hmm.
So what was happening? You were taking a shot while this person was moving, and because the shutter was open longer, it was exposing parts of the image that were no longer like obscured. So you have him moving out of the way of the door, and the door exposing after he's moved. And that's just kind of the way that the camera would work with that.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. We got a spooky Azule.
There it is. Those are so fun to make.
They're so fun.
They're so fun to make because with a long exposure, it's all about like feeling. Like when you're gonna jump into the frame, when you're gonna leave. How long do you want to give it? But I mean, I did these with like really long exposures, like 20-second exposure. So I just had to like set the camera, really gently hit the shutter button. You know, I don't want it to like start wiggling at all. But
what's another thing that's really fun, if you can set up a camera to do like a 10-minute exposure. If you go to a place that's really dark, you can paint things in with flashlight.
Oh,
and it's really fun to do that kind of stuff too with those long exposure shots.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the reason why I say like there's nothing wrong with a phone camera. In fact, I'm pretty sure you can get an application on your phone that will let you have access to these manual controls, and like you don't need it.
Yeah, most of them should have something like this.
My phone comes with a manual mode on the default phone app.
Yeah, there's a bunch of buttons in most camera phones where you can mess around with ratios, with just literally everything. They took digital cameras and they crammed them into a camera phone, and if you toy around and like you're feeling adventurous sometime and you start pressing buttons on your camera phone, you can find a whole bunch of cool shit in there.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to edit too, because
so
it's one of those things where maybe an image just isn't quite right and you just want to adjust the contrast or the exposure level and stuff like that. You can throw it into any program. I have on my phone, I use Adobe Lightroom. And that's what I edit all of my phone photos with.
So the sneak of me earlier that Khaz tabbed into when they were showing off Robb's photos. This is actually a photo I took of the Chicago skyline after I had been done working on set all day. So this was taken at probably like 11:30 at night. Not a great picture overall. It like for me, this isn't something that like resonates with me. I wanted to try something out. So I took that picture and I made it black and white. And it's like, oh, this is so much cooler now. This is so much cooler now. I love it in black and white. I hate it in color. I love it in black and white.
That is like an interesting wrinkle, yeah. That sometimes an image really does benefit from getting that kind of treatment.
Yeah.
Or even just getting any kind of experimentation. I mean, I just like going into Lightroom and messing around and hitting buttons. You'll find something interesting in an
Oh,
image.
absolutely.
Yeah.
What else did I have that I wanted to share? I have so many.
Fun
Wait,
fact about phone cameras. If your phone has more than one lens, it's basically independent cameras each.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever notice that your wide lens has different colors than your main shooter, is because it's a whole different camera in there, and the color balance is going to be different.
Okay, so I do have two that are digital copies of film that I took. These are both from a trip to Disney World that we went to when I was 12. I don't, again, they're just things that I saw something, I liked it, I snapped it, and I moved on.
Well, that one with the boat is very compelling.
That
Ooh,
is
that is very
actually
compelling.
a little like scenery setup that they have on a boat tour. That is by where the Haunted Mansion is, or was. I don't know if it's still there.
It's been demolished.
Cause yeah, and it was just something where I saw it and I was like, oh, that's perfectly reflected. I love that.
The water
I
is
kind of
incredibly
really miss
still.
that. It is. And it's, we're not still. Like, this is on a moving boat when I took this.
This is exactly that kind of lovely, washed out, muted color scheme that I just,
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Like the haze.
I love
Mhm.
that haze.
It's very moody and just works so well to put you in the image.
And we have one, it's probably put in a box somewhere, but we have this one picture that used to be hung up on the wall at our house, our old house, that it's something my dad took when they were out in the woods somewhere for some kind of party, and it's easily the most talked about picture any friends or family have ever looked at. And like, it's just like people that actually like work with photography for part of their profession will look at it and be like, this is so good. And he's just like, it's a picture of an outhouse. It's just a picture of the reflection of the outhouse in this like little pond in the forest that my dad just randomly went like, "Boop. I'm gonna take a picture of that," and framed it. And he's just like, I just have to talk about shitter.
I think this is a common misconception, which is like it does not take a great photographer to make a great image.
Oh, it really doesn't.
The thing about being a great photographer is that you can make great images more often. That's the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little bit easier because you know kind of what to look for. But
you know
it
what to
doesn't.
look for, and you know the equipment and everything like that.
Right. But some of the best images come out of happenstance.
Yeah.
What else do I have that I was gonna share? Happenstance.
How many
I have so many pictures of my dogs that I took. Like we could be here all day just looking at pictures of my dogs.
No, I might have one or two humorous ones. But I just got a GoPro.
Ooh.
And I wanna do streams with it, IRL streams. That's the plan. Oh, look at that. What a cutie.
Yeah, that's my baby Shelby. That was many years ago. We have a bow window that she loved to sleep in. She just liked to sunbathe. 75-pound pit bull just loved to sunbathe.
But yeah, I just it's difficult because I don't know what I'm doing. And I thought, like, I've been, doing the photography thing for a while now. I've been working on my craft. And I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. All the footage looks like shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's good. We're starting over with this, and that's kind of a nice feeling actually. But
You said you just got it and you've been trying stuff with it?
just a few days ago, I've just been putting it through rigorous
Okay.
testing. But trying to I like the idea of doing a little bit of like a video diary kind of a dick. Somebody to talk to in COVID that isn't Emma. But how much I love Emma, only talking to her is a little bit biased. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm looking forward to trying and making some stuff that I can put online with that. But it's always so nice to have a new tool.
Yeah.
That feeling
really
is so
is.
Yeah.
satisfying.
It is.
I
Yeah.
just
New toys are always
picked up
great.
I picked
Oh,
up
yeah.
a Holga. It's a plastic medium format film camera. The entire thing's made of plastic. So it was branded as a toy camera back in the day, but you can make some really fun images with a Holga. And I'm so excited to get out and start shooting with it.
Yeah, that is a really. I saw a YouTube video. Somebody was like giving professional photographers children's cameras and seeing what they do with it. And like, to be honest, it looks like it looks good. But that's just because all the images are like compositionally sound.
Yeah.
But it's it's funny. Because you're surprised. It definitely isn't the equipment that makes the work.
No.
However, all good
It does
photographers
help.
do have an addiction.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited. There's lots of interesting things. This boy's waterproof, and I think I'm gonna see if I can get some surfing footage.
Ooh.
And
Nice.
I've got getting all the pieces together now so that I can actually stream while I'm in the ocean. So that's an interesting idea I've had. So we'll see
Please
what I
don't
can do
drown
with that.
live on stream.
I won't. Honestly, that would be high.
I fully trust that if Azule can surf, Azule knows how to swim.
You
There'd
don't
be
know that.
big waves.
I'm trusting this. Not everyone is you and does not know how to swim.
The first step to learning how to surf is to learn how to swim.
I will do it backwards.
Good
And you
luck.
would die.
Probably.
Sorry, I got a message. No, it is actually scary. I'm gonna be completely real. Like there are definitely some scary moments, but I kind of learned to be able to go back in when those happen. And be like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the beach now. Sorry, I thought I'd probably put that out there. Yeah, Nadine, I just sink. I'm just
Azule is
No buoyancy.
the undead pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean, the cursed pirates that just storm everywhere by walking to the location on the ocean floor.
I've got the like iron boots from Ocarina of Time. But no, surfing's been really good. It's I mean anything to get me out during COVID, really.
This is another one that I'm a fan of.
Anyways, that was my dog, Frankie.
I love your dog.
It's very sudsy.
Very good dog.
That's a lot. Probably the moodiest picture that I've ever taken with my phone. Um,
Oh, that's
it's
nice.
this one
Mm.
from a
Ooh.
car window. Wait, that's the wrong thing. Let me change this. The water droplets on the window in focus, and the rest
Mm-hmm.
washed out. Probably the only good picture I've ever taken.
That
And it's
can't
not
be
that great.
Doubtful.
I would say
I would-
that's a lie, Kaz.
That's absolutely a lie.
All the others I can't show on stream.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's the problem. You can't show them on stream.
Join the Fungus Discord for more pictures of me.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I've got a few like desert landscapes that I was just like, yeah, this is cool.
Look.
And these are all
Ooh,
these couple
stump.
were taken with my camera phone.
Hmm.
Camera phones are really good when you have a lot of light.
Jesus. Sorry.
Yeah, they camera phones tend to they're not very good in low light scenarios.
no,
that's
because they're
because
too small.
It's that, but it's also in low light scenarios are the scenarios when you really want as much control as you can to like squeeze out every little bit of light, and the camera is just not designed to give you that kind of control most of the time.
Hmm.
A picture of straws. Hell yeah. Then I have. I guess this is Moody. I don't know. I don't remember. I went to a park in the middle of the night with friends in college, and I was taking pictures.
This one's really small.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because it's just shapes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a moody image that I'm a fan of. Let's see, it's 962.
Pictures of dogs, and then I have a couple that I took of myself actually earlier in that day. That was like, yeah, these are red. I'm into these.
I love the image with the silhouette. It's really grainy, but I love that look.
Hmm.
I think grain is really good, personally, if used well.
Yeah, that's one thing about film that I love so much is like the grain.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things about film that people try to mimic it with digital photography, but it's never quite there. Like, it's never quite the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We do our best.
We can certainly try.
You guys think about the horses.
Mhm.
Horses
There are no
deserve
It's an illusion.
pets,
Pets and food.
even the imaginary ones.
Yeah, horses are big. They're like cars.
Yes.
I mean, you could, theoretically pet a horse. Exactly, Zith. I agree. Horses are scary. I've ridden on a horse, and it's like it's what I imagine being sitting on top of like a tank is. You feel just, like true power.
Okay,
same
now if
time.
you think that's what being on a horse is, how would you think about being on an elephant, which is literally the size of a tank?
Oh, I'd be pissing myself.
You will be on the right side of the pissing, though.
I'd be pissing. It'd be very disrespectful to the elephant.
I don't think the elephant will even notice.
Probably not. I'm an insignificant fly.
Gil!
Ooh, a rare gill.
Gil, this is I love
This is exactly what
coloring
Azule was talking
this.
about with the fog and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I knew
Oh,
that
and
I
very
had
good.
something like this. I just
have
couldn't
something-
find it
Actually,
because
something
I
just like
actually,
this.
oh god, I don't remember if it was early morning or late at night, but I mean there was heavy fog on the street, and I went outside and there was this like eerie, creepy yellow glow from the street light that the street looked like it was out of a fucking Silent Hill game. And I was like, I love this. And I took a picture of it and I have it somewhere and I can't find it.
Yeah. This that we're seeing on screen is a gill picture. I don't have a gill portrait to put on top of the picture because I've been making sure that the bigger portrait is whoever took the picture, but I don't have a gill one. But this picture is amazing.
I love this girl. Gil, take more pictures.
Yes. Of anything.
Literally anything.
Take a picture of the back of your bench. If you have a
Yeah,
bench. I don't know if you have a bench.
Take pictures of anything and everything. Because why not? Honestly.
There's an Instagram account called the Museum of Unremarkable Objects. And it has pictures of just like kitchen silverware and ketchup bottles and stuff. But I like the like the unimportance of all of those things.
Mundane objects are beautiful.
Yeah. See if I
Trying to
can
find
it.
images with similar vibes. Let's see. I know I have it in here. I particularly love the that's a street lamp, the like weird, strange shape.
Yeah.
Here in Santa Monica. Oh, here it is. Here's the image that I was talking about that's like the similar kind of strange, almost alien-looking lighting.
Why are you questioning why your sister uploaded a Shrek, Nadine? That should be answered within itself already.
I feel like we're just bombarding Khaz with images at this point.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I wanted to make the swing set feel kind of larger than life. So I used an angle that made it look way bigger than it actually really is.
Yeah. And that goes back to changing up your perspectives and like moving the camera around and like getting low or getting high and figuring out what angle works best for your intention.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's really nice, and this goes back to like the intentionality thing. You're right, which is like come at something with an objective. Say, I want to make something big. I want to make something scary. I want to make something, like come at something with an idea of what you want it to be. And it might not end up that way. It might end up totally different, which can be amazing. But if you go at it with that intention, sometimes, you'll be surprised with what you can do. Oh. See, that's spooky. I love it. I like the like slight little blueness that you get.
That was taken with my phone.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Beautiful.
In the middle of the night.
We're discovering that phone cameras are a lot better than we used to think. Or at least I am.
In terms of quality, phone cameras are great. But in terms of it's all about that like control. And if you can get that control out of a phone camera, then honestly,
Go for it.
You don't need a fancy DSLR or whatever. I mean, I love my camera, but it's like a fidget spinner. It's like a tactile thing, you know. You get to know all the keys on your keyboard when you're playing like something really complicated, you know?
Yeah.
Like a really complicated game. And it's nice to have all of that. But, you know, people are able to squish that complicated game down onto a phone and it still functions. And some people are better at it on the phone than you are on your keyboard or whatever. It's just about what tools you're best with.
And you always want to experiment with other tools. Like,
oh yeah,
you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into only doing one thing.
Only taking film.
Yeah. Yes. Which is, that's actually one of the gripes that I have about the photography program that I took, is that it was all film. There was no digital. So we didn't have that experience of working with digital files in the same way that you would with a digital camera. All of the digital manipulation we did was from scans made of negatives, like film negatives.
I mean, Rob, I will say that it's a lot easier to go from film to digital than the other way around.
Yeah.
So it's not so bad.
It's not so bad, but it's one of those things where like they taught us a method of doing things that, yes, it's a great base, but it's not comprehensive.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm getting very quiet because I'm actually scrolling through what I still have on my phone that that I could share.
My question to the photographers here: food pictures.
Food pictures.
You want to see food pictures? I've got a good food picture for you. I've got something that you'll like. It's more of a like character kind of thing. It's not for the food, but the food is prominent.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on food pictures, Azule?
You'll see when I show you the image.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it'll give you a good idea.
I love it already.
But I've got to find it first, which may take a second. So I have no idea when I took it. Man, not having any of my stuff organized in this catalog is a little bit of a nightmare.
Ooh, we got some.
There we go.
That's a mood.
Some Nadine's sister photography.
Oh boy, this is great.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, the leaf. That's beautiful. That's really, really pretty.
Do I want to? No, you know what? Where's that? These are from Nadine. Well, Nadine's sister.
These, you know what? This would. I have a feeling that she would have a knack for like macro photography. This looks like it could be really good macro photography work.
Yeah.
Really, really.
Speaking of macro photography, I do have advice for macro photography. Get a tripod and set a timer, because anything like at that tiny scale, any motion on the camera is going to make everything blurry.
Oh, your depth of field is so shallow on macro.
Oh wait,
it's so shallow. But also like any like jitter in your hands or anything like that is magnified by how zoomed in you are.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Yeah, you move like a tenth of an inch and you are already way outside of what you wanted to take a picture of.
Yeah,
okay,
so anything you try and like take, like if you try and hand shoot macro, like extreme macro stuff, it's not going to come out anywhere near in focus.
So here's my big piece of advice. There is one tripod which for me reigns supreme above all of them. And it's the Joby GorillaPod. If you have any interest in taking photos outside or like in nature or like macro photography often is, this thing's amazing because you can just it's got these legs with all these different joints and you can move them around and you can basically just stick it to things. It's got like rubber on each of these joints and you can bend the joints. So for example, let's say you don't have a good place to put a tripod, but there's a rock. You can mold the legs around the rock to turn the rock into a stable base.
Yeah.
It's such a good creative tool, and they're so cheap. I can't recommend those enough. Let me see.
I'm assuming you are talking about that one, right?
Which one? For the food photography?
No, it's on.
Oh,
It's
yes.
on the
Oh, no,
screen.
no, 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 no. No,
Yeah.
yes. Those things are great. They're really, really great. I just love how versatile they are. And for the price, they're just very, very good product. That I can
Also, back
highly recommend.
to your food photo. I love the focus on the hand, like all the wrinkles on this hand.
Mm-hmm.
They're really neat, very detailed. Like these are working hands.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Ooh.
I think the wonderful thing about food is that we see food a lot of the time, but food can be totally otherworldly. Like it can look very strange. And I don't think that's honestly something that a lot of people focus on because it's a part of every single day of our lives, you know?
Yeah.
But it's funky, the things we do to some veggies and some meats.
Rob, you took this one?
I did, yeah.
How?
With my phone.
Okay.
With my phone. I just held it above and was like standing over the food like a gargoyle.
This is an Instagram photo for sure.
As one does.
I do
Rob-
gargoyle over my food as well.
This is a perfect Instagram photo.
Yeah, I pulled that from my Instagram.
I'm not surprised. This looks like the caption would be "Live, Laugh, Love."
Don't think there was a caption on it.
That's good because "Live, Laugh, Love"
can post
would
it
have
again.
been very corny. Yes,
Yeah.
you could. Speaking, I have some otherworldly food items. Let me see if I can.
Also, can't just gloss over Lep's dog picture.
Yeah, it's my friend's boxer that passed a couple of years ago, Daisy. She would get very excited when I would come over to babysit. And she would poke her snout through the blinds and just wag her little stump tail.
My gosh, that's incredibly cute. That is also a very good Instagram picture.
It was posted
Top
on
tier.
Instagram.
There's like a look. There's an Instagram look. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, yes, this will work. This will do. This will be great.
Square format is like aspect ratio is
It's fun.
it's fun, but it's like so ubiquitous with Instagram now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It has been tainted slightly.
Yeah.
I think I like all of my visual art I've done so far, though, like on digital on the computer, has all been in that like square aspect ratio.
Mhm.
And I think that looks really good. I think it makes everything look like an album cover, which is a fun thing.
Yeah.
Which for visual artworks, I find that fun. Here we go. Here's a kind of otherworldly food picture. I'll go and pull this in. This has definitely just become show and tell, but there's
It
nothing wrong
is.
with that.
Well, that was part of the intention, was like to be able to like have examples of like what we're talking about visually represented so that people can see them on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you listening to the audio version of the podcast, this should be available on YouTube, right, Khaz?
Yes, it will take a second because we're still catching up, but it will be on YouTube eventually.
Yeah. So you can also see the images that are being showed.
Yeah. It's just, I have like 20 videos scheduled and I don't want to just dump them on.
Yeah. It will
on
be
the
available
channel.
eventually.
Yes, just follow us on YouTube.
So that
Now,
image.
Azule, what
Yeah.
is this?
So that's the filling for a pecan pie.
Ooh.
And what you're looking at there is a width.
I have no idea what I'm looking at.
There's
That's definitely the whisk.
You can
Yeah.
get some. You can ground yourself a little if you look at the corner. That's the side of the bowl.
Okay,
Um,
okay. I'm
yeah.
almost on this
You're
thing. Oh
almost
yeah,
there.
okay. I'm slowly piecing it together in my brain.
But I love stuff like that because food is so surreal, or it can be. It really, really
Yeah.
can be. It's really fun
And
when it
it's-
is.
It's such an intimate thing, too, food, because
Oh,
it's...
Absolutely.
Found my creepy street picture.
Hell yeah.
It's on Instagram.
Of course.
Of course, Nadine.
No worries if you weren't sub to the YouTube channel. It had nothing for a couple months. I'm just
Yeah.
catching up.
I just realized I haven't actually shown off my favorite picture of all time.
Azule, what are you doing?
Well, it's a bit of a special one. It's got a special place in my heart. It's actually my my prom photo.
Mhm.
Oh,
But you'll see why I love it so much once I pull it up. Give me a minute. I have to find it. It's lost in the sauce. There we go. There it is.
lost in
This
the
is-
sauce of
I
this
didn't even
Lost in
time.
the
take this
sauce.
photo, but this is a true masterpiece. As you can tell, that's Emma, my
Oh
beautiful
God.
Emma. This actually hangs up. This is, you know, for the wall. It's really truly something.
Now, was
really
this your
something
phone
beautiful.
background for a while? Because I
No,
see,
it went
I see,
straight to print.
because I see the battery percentage.
Oh shit! That's just
And-
a screenshot. I have a real. Oh no, that's so sad. But I have it printed out.
I just love the thought of you having this as your background photo on your phone.
It probably should be. It probably
Very
should
good.
be my background photo. Speaking of Instagram, I should put this in there. This was our Halloween costume, me and Emma. This is all just me and Emma. I'm just flexing.
Oh,
As you
flex
should.
away. Flex away.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who this is? I'm curious if anybody can pick out who this is.
I wouldn't
Anybody
know.
in chat?
I don't know, media.
It seems very familiar, but I can't place it.
Yeah. I'll give chat a chance. I'm curious if anybody can figure it out. We only had one person in the school who was like, "Oh, I know who that is." And we were like, "Oh, shit. That's cool." Nope. All right. It is Spike Spiegel and Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop. Classic.
Oh. That's why I don't recognize it.
Oh yeah? Hey, you should watch it.
I've
know
been
the
meaning
name.
to get around to watching that.
Okay, here's my best Here's why you should watch Cowboy Bebop. It's not because it's the best story of all time. It's not because it's like the best animation of all time. But all of the fights are like not rotoscope, but like heavily inspired by old Jackie Chan movies. And so all of the fight scenes are incredibly well choreographed and like gorgeous.
Mm.
Okay.
And you should definitely watch it. I mean, it's a classic. Me and Emma, it's one of our favorites. Very good. Anyways, that's my
Pro tip for
recommendation.
animators: use reference.
Yes.
Yep. Pro tip for any artist: use reference.
Pro tip: buy a second monitor.
Looking at
Yes.
you, Gil.
I'm so
Second
upset.
monitor.
You know what's upsetting? I have such a tiny desk. My parents have a second monitor that's just like sitting in the basement, and I can't use it because my desk is so tiny.
You know what I've done, Azule? I have a tiny desk, and I have acquired a computer laptop cart that I have parked next to the desk to elongate it.
You know, I could do that, but that's where the camera lives. It's really cramped here. Let's just say it's not my desk is the issue. It's such a shitty desk, but it's my landlord's desk. I can't get rid of it. So I'm stuck with it. And
Okay, so this is my creepy foggy street
give us spooky stuff.
picture that I'm about to share.
The one that I'm showing right now is a Nadine picture. A Nadine original.
Ooh, how'd you get that?
With my phone.
I love that. Honestly, that looks like the this looks like the image you'd see as like the representation of like a Roald Dahl story or like a
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not like the like children's ones, the adult ones.
It was literally, I saw that we had heavy fog. I grabbed my phone, I ran outside, and I started taking pictures.
This would be the cover of a truly depressing book of poetry.
Thank you.
This would be the cover to like a really good lo-fi album.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that nobody has ever heard of.
I can see this picture with like a red circle right between the trees as a YouTube thumbnail.
Oh no. Yeah, I definitely can too.
Okay,
That's funny.
so I also have I have a few things that I snagged from my Instagram that I'm just gonna send a slow barrage of.
I have a question for Khaz.
Yes.
Why did you choose this image to be my profile, the one with the glasses?
It was the quickest one that I could find.
Okay. Because this was definitely a shit post. Just wanted to make that clear.
I went to your Twitter to see if I could find something. I don't think I did. I went to your Discord, the art section. That was your like a recognizable profile picture. I
it could have
took
come
out
to me.
the background, and yeah,
it's lovely. No, I know. Thank you. I was just surprised to see it when I hopped on. It was entertaining.
Yeah, honestly I should have asked Robb and Azule to give me something to use as their profile picture, but
Robb's is way cooler, to be fair.
And yours is pretty cool.
Drew has
I got cool shades.
Spent a lot of time on it.
Whoa.
No, like
what are you trying to say?
We witnessed him spend a lot of time on it. It's a snippet of a very a much larger image.
I mean, I can't even say anything. I didn't create my profile picture. I have an artist who I work with. So
It's always good to have an artist.
Yeah,
true.
Absolutely.
get yourself an artist.
This is
Make sure you pay them.
Nah. Put their like Twitter on your video description. That's it.
yeah. Shout out to Yargi.
Exposure.
Speaking of which, I'm very excited to say that Yargi's actually working on a VTuber model and is planning on streaming. And if so, I'm just gonna be completely plugging him constantly.
Whenever
you
that
should.
happens, make sure that you share that link with us because we will.
I will.
Fucking.
I will.
Get
Blow
them
it
to
up.
affiliate
Honestly-
in 2 days.
Yep.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing. I went to a high school that was like an arts high school that had some insanely talented students. Like really, really insanely talented. But Yargi was like the one person who I made like really, really good friends with. We bonded over talking shit in economics class.
Oh, good.
And talking about Hollow Knight and drawing characters from My Hero. And it's been love at first sight ever since. Porridge. Oh, it's a puddle.
It is a puddle.
Porridge. I like my interpretation better though.
It's.
I'm gonna
it's a
choose
mud
Death of the
puddle.
Artist and say that.
Oh
it's
no, that
porridge.
one is actually just like a puddle in a parking lot. But there's another one that it's literally just a mud puddle that water was streaming past and it was picking the mud up as it was going. And I'm like, yeah, this is kind of this could be a thing.
I have a question. Do all of these images have the same filter on them?
No,
Okay, because I cannot tell the difference. I must have a problem. All Instagram filters look the same to me.
they do, and
They're
these are
very
all
similar.
taken years ago,
Like the butterfly.
and I do not do any of this anymore. Like any of the ones from the flower with flowers or plants in them are from when I worked at a landscape supply place. So I would just like walk around the property and I would snap pictures of things. Like, this looks cool.
Oh god, if you could see how many tabs I have open right now.
Are you being O'Reilly?
I have every picture that you guys have shared open on my browser right now.
That can't be good
God.
for the stream. Well, it looks
Oh, don't
fine.
worry, I have 16 gigs of RAM for that the exact reason.
Okay, I'm done.
I'm a crazy person. I have 8 gigs of RAM, and I know how cheap it would be for me to upgrade to 16 gigs. But I'm so fucking stubborn because my motherboard doesn't. I can't use DDR4. I can only use DDR3, and I'm stubborn. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy RAM until I can upgrade my motherboard, which is stupid
Yeah.
because I've had 8 gigs of RAM for like 7 years.
Well, in
I've
your
been-
defense,
for like 7 years, I've been.
I did the same thing.
Yeah,
I
it's
only-
upsetting because right when I was about to upgrade. Oh, sorry.
Um,
Right as I was about to upgrade, yeah.
yeah, like I had 8 gigs of RAM for the longest, and I was doing video editing with just 8
Oh,
gigs of
yeah.
RAM, and it would take forever. But after I like finally upgraded my CPU, because when I wanted to upgrade, I needed to upgrade CPU, motherboard, and RAM all in one package. So I was like, I'm not gonna buy more RAM until I upgrade my CPU. And now I'm here with 16, and I'm probably gonna get another 16 because it's not enough.
It is
It's never enough.
exactly what I was like. I'm like, I need to upgrade my motherboard, CPU, and RAM. But right as I was about to, the shortage hit, and like everything skyrocketed in price, and I was like,
Yeah.
another year, I'll wait.
Yeah.
I-
Now there's a shipping apocalypse.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The Suez Canal is blocked again. Somebody Tokyo drifted in again.
I imagine that boat driver going like, with this fucking song. What's it
Yeah.
called?
Tokyo Drift song.
No. There's this one song from. Oh, I can't remember the name. Shit. Now I'm gonna have to look it up because I won't let this escape me.
Please tell me you're joking. Yeah. No, there's not another ship.
Could you imagine
I could not imagine. That is
it
completely
happening
absurd.
again?
Again? You know what? I just had a thought. It'd
Uh-huh.
be fun to get all the people who do like digital art in the Frungus and do like an Aggie.io kind of a stream together.
Oh, we have.
Yeah.
You have.
We have done that, and you're welcome
Oh.
to join it when we do it again.
I'd love to. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Hell
that-
yeah, we just hang out and chat. I hang out and chat with the artist and also the chat, and I just do something like I play Animal Crossing or something while we do it because I don't draw. Not like I want to, but we do that. Last time it was pretty much all Pokesonas.
Mine would be a horse. Every time I draw anything that isn't like a beautiful, lovely landscape that I actually put effort into, it's a horse.
Oh, good.
You need
Khaz, have you
something
seen
to
my
put on the
horses?
landscape.
I pulled out my box of
Oh,
photos from school.
Ooh.
oh my gosh. Is that ice?
Yeah, it's ice.
Oh, that's sexy. I just saw the line. Oh, that's sexy. I'm sorry, I really like
Yeah.
that image.
I love this one. Like
That's
it's just
phenomenal.
35 millimeter film. And my professor had a bunch of photos of ice up on the walls in the photo lab, and I was looking at them and like, I need to make some photos of ice now, and I did.
I mean, that's
Here we
great. I
are.
wish there was ice in California, because that'd be cool.
Hello,
We don't have it
Libby.
here. It doesn't grow here. It's not native.
No.
Yeah,
Poor
Rob and I have an abundance of ice
So
through a
lucky.
good chunk of the year. Rob a little bit more than me, I think.
As early as October until as late as April.
Oh, it's about the same then.
That sounds so nice.
Yeah. I think geographically, Lep, we are in a similar latitude.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Y'all are latitudes.
I am actually more south than quite a bit of the United States.
Wait, where are you?
I'm in New Brunswick, Canada.
I-
And that portion of Canada kind of like dips below the 48th. So
How is Canada?
it's yeah.
It's a little bit of
Yeah,
land
but-
that inserts into the US.
Gil, no one's forgetting about you, but do you have pictures of your ice? We're talking about photography.
Yeah. I'm starting to realize that we need a dedicated photography channel on the Fungus.
Gil,
I mean,
do
we
you,
can do that.
do you have pictures of you freezing your balls off?
I don't because I don't have balls to freeze off. Like, not
Oh.
physical ones. I have figurative balls, but not physical balls.
Metaphysical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Emotional.
Honestly, metaphysical balls are better.
Yeah.
They don't hurt when you smack them in a car door.
That sounds like a memory.
That's too specific not to be a thing that
Uh,
happened.
how would that happen? How could that happen?
I don't
How
know,
many people do
Azule.
you think
How
that's
could it
happened
happen? Tell
What was
me.
the other thing that I was talking about that was like the last time I was on? That was ridiculous. I don't remember. When we were doing the Danganronpa.
I
I don't remember.
don't ask me to remember things.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Lep's balls are huge.
Thank you, Nadine. Are those animal cages like traps?
Those are lobster traps.
Lobster traps. Okay.
Those are for the little people. Not like. I meant like gnomes. That's horrible. I'm so sorry. I've had this thought where, you know how people who have like fairy gardens?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I imagine that it's like a trap. They create that to lure the fairies in so that they can like exploit their labor.
As someone that has built a fairy garden to be a retail display, that is absolutely true.
Glad.
Oh, look at Gil.
Where do you keep them?
Oh, I only did it when I built it as a trap to get people to buy the things in the fairy garden, not to actually trap the fairies. So I didn't keep any of them because the whole point was to push the merchandise.
Ah. Shrewd businessman. Those pants, by the way, are fucking amazing.
They really are.
I think Emma's joining in. She seems to want to voice her opinion about something. Emma, you have the floor.
I was just gonna say that I can confirm that yes, the only thing people do with fairy gardens is that they try to trap people, like small fairies. My entire like career as a 10-year-old was building leprechaun traps so I could trap one of them and steal them for a pet. I'm not even kidding.
Leprechaun traps.
Yeah, right? And they became so intricate over the years. Like they started out pretty simple, you know, like I just put out some food and then maybe like a thing to like catch them under, but that didn't work. And so every year I had to up my game until eventually it took up the entire like upper floor of my house. And my parents like literally couldn't get out of their bedroom door in the morning. And I was
good.
so disheartened when this didn't work every freaking year.
Emma, you've made like a Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah, it was crazy.
The leprechaun like steps on a little like weighted plate, and then like 20 minutes later, after a series of absurd things happen, the
Oh.
cup falls down on top of
I mean, I
the
don't
trap.
I don't care if it's stream friendly or not, Rob. Thank you for sharing that.
We have a question
Yeah.
for Emma from the chat. Emma, can you confirm Azule has slammed his balls in a car door? Can you confirm this or not?
I can neither confirm nor deny, and I plead the fifth.
Okay, I'm
The
glad.
giggling is the answer enough for me.
Whoa, this
Yeah.
didn't happen.
We know.
I was just
we know what we
saying.
need to know.
Wait.
I plead the fifth.
That didn't
Mhm.
happen, just for the record.
Okay.
Are you okay?
I haven't gotten kicked in the balls that many times. I'm lucky.
I had a little brother. I did.
Ooh.
Or I should say, I have a little brother. He still
Wow.
exists.
Okay.
Still kicking my balls.
Well, I mean, now that you know we're all adults, you've just got a brother in arms. No,
I mean,
okay. As a younger sibling, I hate the pompousness of older siblings. They're like, "Oh, I'm your big sibling." I'm like, "Listen, we're adults. Can we? The hierarchy must end."
Oh yeah.
it
Yeah.
never will.
I went through that with my older brother for a hot minute, and then he moved out and had some health problems that he leaned on me for a lot of help for, and that hierarchy has disappeared, and we are absolutely equal playing ground now. And he's also much bigger than me. He's like 6'4", and he's 7 years older than me.
Well, it's like what's the dating thing? It's like twice your age plus something. It's like that, That is pretty disgusting, right? But I feel like at a certain point, there's like, you become adults, right? And then it's like, you only get to hold, something over me if you're my boss and, you provide me with income. After that, it's like, no, you're not allowed.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just upset. I'm just sad.
I've always
I'm just
been
mauled.
called the little one of the family, even though I'm almost the tallest one. So yeah,
Are
I'm
you?
I'm s- I'm still the not the baby, but the young one of the family. Um, the
Beautiful.
most of my family don't speak to me that much, so I'm secluded in my room way too long. They feel uncomfortable with my presence.
It's just because you're too powerful.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do
They
really love
just
that
can't relate
last
to you
one, Rob.
anymore. You're on a different plane of existence.
Sorry, what, Lep?
I love that last picture.
Of course you do.
Yeah, it's a good one.
This one may not be stream friendly.
Yes, that
Just
one.
turn it upside down.
Add
like
rotate it like a little bit, and yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Add like one of those, like the effects that they add for like terrible YouTube videos, where they like mush things. What's it? The like smudge effect. Add that so that there's like a happy face, and then and that's family friendly. That's live, laugh, love right there.
Eat
we are
What is
we are
that now?
nearing the 2.5 hour mark. I don't know if there are
Yeah.
any topics that you guys want to discuss as a wind down kind of thing.
What else do we have for questions?
We had. Let's see. Sin had several that were very good. So Nadine also asked if you see artsy photos sometimes and do you see artsy photos sometimes and spend too long analyzing how it might have been taken?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the most painful part of looking at a photo.
You're
Like, it's so good.
Absolutely.
And I have no fucking idea what they're doing. I mean, that adds to the like mystique, right? But when you know you can recreate something, you want to really bad.
You want to, yeah.
You really want
Yeah.
to. But
I mean,
and then there's other photos where you're like, oh yeah, I could recreate that. And then like you research how the photo was actually taken, and you're like, oh shit, I can't. Like
yeah.
our professor showed us this little spot on a photographer, and he basically made a whole movie set to take one photograph.
oh no.
Oh,
Like,
studio photography is so cool.
It wasn't in the studio though. It was like
Wasn't.
it was like an outdoor shot, and he had like brought in like rain machines and waited for specific times a day for proper lighting, and it was like a 5-day production to make one photograph.
Oh no.
And it was absolutely amazing, and the results were very good. I forget which artist it was, and I wish I could remember, but it was just incredible the amount of effort you can put into something like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about like all animation.
Yeah.
An absurd amount of work.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, you're like, I'm so happy with my 2 seconds. You know?
Yeah.
As
I
someone
really
who
wanna
started
get
doing
into it.
animation just recently, that's such a mood. I've
Yeah.
redrawn
I've
lines
spent-
so much.
I spent 10 days working on this project. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a 2-second GIF.
Yeah.
Khaz and I were kind of talking about it when I was watching it, but watching the Castlevania speed draw episode from Drawfee, and just surprise, I'm gonna do an animation, not an actual like painting or drawing or something. Like,
That's such a
just
flex.
You
Yeah.
you just
Oh, he's
busted this.
doing Julia.
You just busted this thing out. Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, stop motion. It's something I wanted to do when I was a kid, and I have no fucking desire to do it
I
anymore.
have so
So
much
much work.
respect for anyone that does anything with stop motion just because of the sheer amount of time and care that needs to go into it to make it
Yeah.
become a fluid motion picture, which is one of the
Mhm.
reasons why I love Robot Chicken so much.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
it's a
guys-
stupid fucking show and it jumps around from scene to scene and it's got ridiculous content, but they did all of it in stop motion.
I have a YouTube channel, Omozok. This is a great channel. They do food stop motion. So they'll like make they'll make a dish that is like emulating let's say they're making like a salad, but rather than using actual ingredients, it'll be like household items. And it's in the style of like a cooking video, but it's very, very interesting stuff. You guys should definitely check it out. I think there's another channel that does something similar. Let me look it up. Let's see. The other one is, yeah, PES. Actually, this one's even better. I think the other guy came second. These are really, really incredible things. You guys should definitely check them out.
Oh yeah, PES. Incredible work.
Seriously
Okay.
cool stuff. And they're short. Don't feel like it's such a commitment. They're like, a couple minutes or whatever. Yeah. Very cool. All right.
If
Sin
we
has some
want-
other questions too, right?
Yeah. So Sin's other questions, obviously we know Rob has experience developing photographs. But the questions were, do you have experience developing your own photographs? If so, do you like that process? Do you have any photos that were banging that you self-developed?
Yeah, so I do really love the process of developing film. It can be so rewarding when it turns out good and nice and right. You spend so long in the dark room though.
Okay.
So the school I went to for university, they have like in my program, they had a fully decked out photography lab. So we would also like develop the film ourselves. And we worked with all the chemicals and stuff with that. And then as far as like printing the images, we'd also print the images ourselves. So a lot of those photos that you see from that you've seen on stream so far, as far as like the black and white stuff, that was all developed by me, like the film, and printed by me. And it's just really I miss the darkroom so much. It's one of those things like, yeah, that photo there that's on stream now, that was,
It shows.
yeah, I developed that myself. And this one was a bit different because it was a large format negative, because the project I was working on was at a scale that we didn't have big enough paper for, as far as like light sensitive paper available to us. So this did end up being a digital print. So I didn't end up printing this one myself, but there was still a lot of time and effort put into scrubbing the negative from like all the dust and stuff on it. Because when you scan a negative, you're going to get dust and fibers and all that kind of stuff from the scan screen and whatever's on the negative at the time too. So it's a lot of hours in Photoshop with the clone tool, just taking out those little dust particles all like from left to right, top to bottom, the whole thing. It's so brutal. It's so time consuming, but I love every minute of it. It's just one of those things where like you get in the zone. Your head goes empty and you're just focused, and
I would love that.
you just forget everything else that's going on in the world.
You know what that's called? It's called flow state. I've been learning into this. This is my like everybody has something that they subscribe to, right? And mine is flow state. I think that like being able to achieve that. I listen to a lot of like lo-fi because apparently that's very good for like getting into that kind of flow state where you're like completely head empty, but you're doing your best work.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I love most about doing art. It's that escapism and not having to think about anything or be weighed down by my own thoughts and brain.
Totally. Yeah. I mean a lot of these kinds of, passions, animation, photography, visual arts, a lot of these things where you sit down and you just focus on one thing for just hours at a time can be like it can be just so brutal, but it's getting into that state and then coming out of it is almost like a euphoric experience that I think everybody should find something in their life that they can experience in that way.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's very therapeutic for me. Getting in and out of that headspace, especially when I'm not doing well.
Yeah. It's definitely therapy onto its own.
It really is, and that's one of the things why I got so heavily into crafting when I did, is because it's something that I can focus on if I really want to, but I can also do it as like, I'm just doing this thing to have my hands do something in this moment. I don't have to actually pay attention to it. I don't need to like actually think about what I'm doing. I just do.
Yeah. And that's why I got into Playboys.
It all comes back to Playboys.
All right. I think Emma's starving, and so am I. So
Yeah,
well, thank you for joining us. I feel like we kind of answered most of the other questions in a roundabout way in some of the discussions that we had.
Yeah.
got sidetracked a good amount.
Oh yeah, that's what we do here. We sidetrack. That's everything.
And
this whole thing is a sidetrack.
If you guys have more to talk about, we can always do this again. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. Azule, any quick artist recommendations before we go?
For photographers?
Yeah.
Or for just anything?
I'd say photographers, to be on topic.
I don't have anything right now that's coming to mind. I mean, honestly, when I think of like really, really good photographers, I think of like, yeah, Sebastian Salgado is just like an incredible photographer. But I don't know, it's been so long since I like actually went into a museum and like looked at or into a gallery and looked at people's work that there's nobody I'm thinking of right now that's like somebody I'm.
I remember you've mentioned Annie Leibovitz before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because I did a little bit of the Annie Leibovitz master class, and listening to her talk about like her work and everything is like super cool. So yeah, that's definitely a good recommendation.
As far as landscape photography goes, you can never recommend Ansel Adams enough, in my opinion. So that'd be mine.
Because as we've seen here today, good stuff, very good shit.
And I would recommend Azule.
Well, you know, I don't know about that. I can dish it out, but I
recommend-
cannot take it.
I recommend following everyone who's been talking today. Robb is an incredible artist. Azule is gorgeous. Lep is very soothing to listen to, and I help.
Khaz is probably one of the most relaxing voices to ever listen to.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Jill
Khaz
streams
is the
to
only
sleep
reason I'm
to
here.
relax to.
Not like here, but like, you know, not here today. But let's be honest, yes, here today. I would, if Khaz didn't message me, I would not be here. So
Well, I did invite you, so.
No. Khaz, you're lovely.
Thank
Khaz
you.
is lovely. I love them very much.
I'm gonna move on from this conversation.
No, let's sit here and talk about Khaz more.
Yeah.
Let's sit here and talk about Khaz more. Yeah,
They are
Khaz
beauty,
is
they are
smile.
grace.
I
Also,
can...
their fucking hair.
Oh my god. Thanks everyone for being here. It's always lovely to have these conversations with people from the Frungus. If you yourself from the audience want to participate on the podcast next month, do let us know. There's no like set topic. You can come here and talk about your obsession with 3-inch wood. I don't care.
But also, like, you don't even have to like say that you want to be on the podcast to talk about something. If there's something you want to hear us talk about, if there's someone you would like us to have on as a guest that we know and we can try to get them on here to talk, let us know. This is a very open format. We have no restrictions other than making sure it stays within Twitch TOS.
Yes. Just so
Your
we
first-
don't.
Gil does have a suggestion.
Ooh.
I want to hear Gil's suggestions.
Don would like to guess on the stream to have Khaz punch them in the face.
We would need to arrange that. Arthur,
Okay.
oh, I was already going to arrange.
Oh,
Arthur.
I was
Same
gonna
brain.
say Arthur anyway.
Same
So
brain.
there you go. Say brains in the chat if you have it.
We could do some movie magic.
Follow us on every major streaming platform to listen to our podcast. And if you don't know where, like if you want to find us, podcast@frungus.com is the easiest place. And if you want to join our Discord, get in on the Discord. Talk about
We
things.
only bite if you ask us to.
Yeah. We're gonna raid Arthur Lee. Any parting words from the people in the Discord call?
Eat your food, drink your water, take your meds.
It was
Be
beautiful.
kind to each other. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
But especially Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we're
Love
gonna say
y'all
hi to
very much.
Arthur Lee.
Love everyone.
I don't remember how to pronounce music. Chilling with music.
Love you all.
let's just
God
go.
damn it.
That's the end of the stream. Bye.